whatever. This is Running Out the Clock, the world's foremost authority on all things hand fishing. That's right. If you want to, this is the absolute hillbilly hand fishing aficionados #1 podcast right here, Running Out the Clock. I'm joined by Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hi.
I'm joined by Roe. Hi, Roe.
Good day.
And we're joined by Chandler. Actually, we're not. Chandler couldn't make it tonight, but I just felt weird not including him. So,
Chandler's off chasing the dream.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Chandler's off chasing the dream.
Okay, wow. It wasn't what I heard at all, and I was very confused. I was like, I need to stop everything and rewind. It is the end of conference championship weekend. This is, from here on out, no games matter. That's just kind of how it is. There's bowl season is fun for people that really, really badly want to watch a bunch of bowl games. And if you're one of those people, I'm glad that you do that. And I hope you keep watching as many bowl games as possible. And if you're not one of those people, you are, done when the regular season is done. I get that. It's totally good. But we still have some things to talk about in this quick little bowl selection reaction episode. But first and foremost, we got a few things to talk about. Number one, we always start every episode by talking about the Noles. I'm just kidding. There's no reason to ever talk about the Noles for the rest of the season.
Yeah, nothing to say.
They ain't gonna play football for another
12 months.
9 months, yeah.
Here's how we're going to talk about the Noles. How relieved are you to not have to talk about the Noles anymore this season, Keith?
Very. It brings a smile to my heart and a warmness to my belly.
Ro, how about you?
I would say an adequate amount of relief. Like, I'm not totally full. Like, I saved a little room for dessert, but I'm okay.
I have dessert right here in front of me because I'm eating as we record.
Oh, delicious.
We also do something on the podcast because there's so much negativity in sports media, and there's so much focus on, this team blew it and they were the favorites. And we're actually going to talk a lot about that in a minute here. We're going to talk a lot about one team blowing it. So we normally try to focus on maybe somebody who deserves some credit and is not getting enough credit to start off with some positivity. I'll be honest with you guys. I was so out of the world this entire weekend. I didn't pay any attention to anything. I really have no contenders outside of maybe UAB, who I picked to win the Conference USA championship game, and they did in a rematch of a game that they played the week before. So good on them. But I got no candidates. You guys got anyone in particular that you want to give some credit to? It's okay if you don't. We can skip this segment.
Yeah, I do.
I'd
I'd like to give credit to boxing because there was a fight last night, and for the first time in maybe ever, I watched a fight. Like, I remembered that a fight was happening between two heavyweights at, like, I don't know, probably about 9:30 last night, right before I was falling asleep. And then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, there's that fight with those guys who are ginormo-sized. And I said, I'll watch that. And then I did, and it was entertaining. So shout out to boxing, to both the guys. They're both big.
Was it even entertaining, even in light of the fact that the result was a complete joke in the eyes of everyone who cared?
I don't understand how to score boxing. So
neither did the judges. Neither did the judges last night. So it's all good.
I think a draw in that sport is like, we all made a lot of money off of this. Let's do it again.
If you break down the match tape, they punched each other the exact same number of times in the exact same places in each other's bodies. So they had no choice but to award a draw in the case of that boxing match. It's never happened before.
The big guy, Tyson Fury, I think he was the bigger of the two. He was so quick. I was so surprised by how quickly he could move his feet for being 300 and something pounds. He was I was shocked by his little nimble feet. And then the other guy, I think his name is Deontay Wilder, maybe. It looked like he was just kind of playing with him at first, or trying to play like he was tired, and then at the end of the fight, or towards the end of the fight, he was just loading up on him with these big right hooks, like he was helicopter punching him, and then he knocked him down a couple times. I thought that was the coolest thing. And I was like, oh, okay, boxing is still a thing, I think. Like, it's not just Apollo and Creed, like it's
should be.
Or I'm sorry,
it's not a thing unless Money Mayweather is fighting.
Oh my gosh! Never mention his name on this podcast. That is like the cardinal sin. It's just to mention him around me. Just a human being that I can just be okay with if I never hear anything about him. Tyson Fury is a weird. I did some research because I don't know. Maybe it's just not often that you have 6'9" gypsies in professional athletics.
He's the Gypsy King. That's what he calls himself.
So I did some research on him, and he's an interesting dude. Like he could not get dual citizenship in England and Ireland, even though his dad is from Ireland, because his dad was a gypsy and his birth was never recorded with the government.
Oh,
wonderful. He's off the grid.
Yeah, apparently, like the traveling Irish gypsies or whatever record births with their local community and the church, and not with the government at all. So there's no official record of his dad's birth in Ireland, so he can't get dual citizenship, even though he wanted it.
That's because the government is a farce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Along with that, he's also a very weird guy because he's a huge proponent for mental health awareness. But also has gotten in a lot of trouble for maybe making really homophobic comments directed at people in the public eye. Weird man, Tyson Fury. If you have a moment to look up his Wikipedia page or something, you should. It's fascinating.
He looks like watching him fight. He looks like what if you had to fight something like that. He looks like he would be just a big, like a big gigantic loaf of bread, like that you could never It's so big and you could never tear it apart. You'd just hit it, and your gloves would just sink into the bread.
Yeah, and it's also true because you look at, you look at Deontay Wilder, and he's 6'7" and he's ripped out of his mind,
Yeah, he looks like an athlete.
Yeah.
That dude just looks big. He looks like Andre the Giant or something.
Yeah, and then you look at Fury, and there's no shape to him at all. It's so weird.
Just a loaf of bread. Just a big old piece of bread.
If you Google him, boxingscene.com has an article that says Fury's coach Mayweather left arena disgusted. That says it all.
Oh.
Mayweather just left the arena disgusted because it means he wasn't making any money off the match. So
he's a boxing promoter now. So he was there promoting somebody. So he actually did make money last night.
Mayweather is?
Yeah, that's what he's saying that he is. who knows how true that is?
Yeah. Whatever.
So there was something that came out a couple of weeks ago that said that he was talking about wanting to fight Pacquiao again.
Man, I would rather watch some of the former presidents fight, I think, instead of...
Well, obviously, that'd be hilarious.
Instead of Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather again. They should have fought 10 years ago.
What you just described, Roe, was that old MTV show Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh man, I miss Celebrity Deathmatch.
There's literally no reason why Netflix hasn't picked that show up and just continued to make it.
Man, that was a funny show.
I mean, I can't imagine that it's a moneymaker. That might be Netflix's reason.
Yeah, it's like claymation.
I would support it by myself.
Yeah, just a 24-hour constant stream on all the screens in your house.
Yep.
That's it.
I've got several.
Did you have any candidates for this prestigious ROTC Who Deserves Credit award?
Yeah, I'm going to give credit to UCF coach Josh Heupel, coming in first year, taking them undefeated to the AAC championship game and winning despite losing your starting quarterback the week before. Really impressive. So good job to him. Unfortunately, UCF gets the old shaftaroo again and left out of the college football playoffs. But I did hear that the college football playoff committee promised them that if they went undefeated for a third straight season, they would get some consideration. Isn't it amazing that a team in Division I went undefeated 2 years in a row? And they're just
cold, man.
Yeah.
I mean, then it's just how it is. Do you ever think that we will ever see a non-Power 5 team get any credit for any accomplishment they ever do?
No.
It can't be, right? I mean, if you have a team like last year's UCF team who was like statistically killing it and then went on to, beat Auburn, who had just come off of beating Alabama and Georgia,
Right.
Like if you've got that team and you don't even give them any sort of serious consideration, I mean, it will never happen, right? It can never happen.
No, it can't happen.
I get that Oklahoma may sell more tickets, but at the same time, remember, UCF is a university of like 130,000 students.
Yep.
They got a lot of fans.
It is the largest university in the state of Florida.
Man,
if I'm not mistaken.
By a lot.
No, that might be
by
UCF.
like triple almost.
That might be Central Florida. I don't know. Either one.
Yeah, that's who we're talking about.
Central Florida or Southern Florida? I heard
Central Florida.
I'm talking about Central Florida, the one that's good at football.
Oh. Sorry, I've been watching this.
Remember when the South Florida Bulls were like number
Chargers
2
game
in the nation,
Yeah.
like 10 years ago?
They had a was that Jason Pierre-Paul? Did he play for them, or did he play somewhere else? No, yeah, that was him. Jason Pierre-Paul played for South Florida. He was their defensive star back when they were really, really good.
Really good.
Back when he had all his fingers.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Jason Pierre-Paul's fingers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lost too soon to us by a volley of fireworks.
But what you pointed out, we do need to give a special shout out, a lot of credit to Mackenzie Milton, the quarterback at Central Florida, who of course had the worst injury I've seen in years, including Alex Smith, including Nick Fitzgerald. His was the worst injury I've seen.
I don't think I saw it.
Ugh.
You don't want to see
Was
it.
it an ankle injury again?
No. It is a dislocated knee.
Yeah, it is.
And if you know anything about the human knee, everything in there is so compact and packed together that if you dislocate the knee, the force of everything basically breaks all the bones all around it. So he's reached a point now in which, I mean, he's probably, fortunate to still have his leg sort of injury if like blood flow and arteries have been damaged at all. Yeah, it's terrible. Hate it for him. Terrible way for an incredible athlete, an incredible season to come to an end, an incredible career to come to an end in Mackenzie Milton. Hopefully good comes out of it. Hopefully there's a recovery. Hopefully there's, something that allows him to go on. And I know professional football is always the dream, but whatever it is that he is able to do from here on out, we hope that he's able to do it all well, rough stuff.
I would also like to take a moment to give a shout out to Kansas State's Bill Snyder on an amazing career. He has announced that he's retiring from the sport of football. It is amazing when a person stays at a single school for more than 5 years, much less 27 years.
Right.
And he's left obviously a lasting legacy. So good for him. All the best in his retirement.
He's the guy who, I mean, Roe and I talked about it before the season started. We were talking about what it means to really be a coach and what it means to be a successful coach in college football these days, and what it means to be a successful coach in terms of wins, losses, all of the above is so completely different than what it means to be an impactful coach in general. And I don't know if you're going to see a more impactful coach than Bill Snyder when it comes to what he's meant to the players he's coached, but especially what it's meant to the program. Kansas State was like considered the worst, football program in America, like desolate wasteland of football before he arrived. And he arrived and he turned them into, a team that had, 2 different Big 12 championships, 4 Big 12 North Division championships. Back when it was the Big 8 conference, he was the 3-time Big 8 conference coach of the year, 4-time Big 12 coach of the year, at least in 1998, he won multiple national coach of the year awards. So just incredible career that he's had there, and an incredible career that cannot really be summed up in just numbers and successes. It's summed up in the impact But even then, you look at the numbers, and it's still good. 215 wins to 117 losses over his career at a program. Most of them at a program that was referred to as Futility U before he showed up. It's incredible. So jumping back into the SEC, which is allegedly what this podcast is about. I don't know. Whatever.
This is not a Bill Snyder podcast.
I would prefer that to an SEC podcast. This is, of course, the official SEC podcast of people that hate the SEC. There were 2 SEC games going on this week. Some people are apt to forget about the mighty South Carolina versus Akron makeup game that had to be played. Had to.
Nobody else wanted to.
As expected, incredibly boring game. 28-3, all the points scored in the first half.
Yep.
It was is not great. Some of the notable stats: Jake Bentley, I want to say, ended his South Carolina regular season career with a bang. He did have 3 passing touchdowns, but also threw 2 interceptions. So, come on, Jake.
That just kind of sums up South Carolina's year, I think.
Right. Exactly. That's some good stuff. Oh, you threw 2 interceptions also? Oh.
Okay. Actually, on second thought.
Yeah. Oh, man, look at Deebo Samuel returning punts for touchdowns, all this. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, but you only went 7-5 and 4-4 in conference. Oh, okay. Well, could have been worse. Could have been better. Anyway, South Carolina won 28-3 against Akron. And as mentioned, not a lot of notable stats there. And then, of course, you have the championship game. Alabama defeats Georgia 35-28. Georgia at one point up 21-7, then up again in the second half 28-14, all the way until you get to the fourth quarter. And that's when Georgia was like, hey, you know what? All that stuff that's been working for us, what if we stop doing it? Crazy.
What if we make Jake Fromm throw 40 times?
Right. Exactly. It's unbelievable. And Fromm himself, Fromm had a good game, but why are you doing that when DeAndre Swift and Elijah Holyfield are running everywhere?
There's really no need to even talk in depth about this game other than one play. We all know what that play is.
It's so true. It's so true.
4th and 11, fake punt.
Yep.
With time on the clock. It's like the worst fake punt ever. So easy, and they were expecting it too.
Bama was in kick safe. Like
it makes no sense. It makes no sense. You got 5 minutes left in the game, and it's tied. So I mean, let's not forget that it's tied because you were just up 2 touchdowns in the second half, and you couldn't get anything else.
And you decided to throw it like 7 straight times.
You opened up the second half with a touchdown to go up 2 touchdowns.
Oh my God.
And so for the final, I'm trying to do the math here. For the final 27 and a half minutes of the game, you can't get any more points. You can't hit field goals. You can't score touchdowns in almost a half hour. I don't understand it.
I can't express the amount of hard head shaking that I'm having right now. Because it's just so absolutely egregious. I'm so glad I'm not a Georgia fan. I used to be when I was a child. Because I grew up in that state. And I am so glad that I couldn't take that. But that's just the typical Georgia team.
Imagine being a Georgia fan suffering through the Mark Richt era. And I'm not saying that as a knock against Mark Richt. Like, Mark Richt had a lot of success at Georgia, but he could never get them, to the level that Kirby Smart has already. And so imagine being a Georgia fan and, Mark Richt's moved on, Kirby Smart comes in, he gets you to a national championship game in his second season or something.
Yeah.
And you blow a lead to Bama, which, it happens. Bama's really good. And then you got a shot the next year to knock him out of the college football playoffs and do your thing. And you blow another 14-point lead.
And let's not forget, it was the exact same game. Down to the backup quarterback for Alabama having to step in.
Yes, yes, it was, dude.
The script was flipped, but not really.
Yeah, The exact same. It's the same players involved. It doesn't matter that like Tua started this game and Jalen finished it. It's still the same two players.
Dude,
it's the exact same thing.
This is like some terrible Broadway musical, like Cats 2, or like, or just some like Sweeney Todd, the other barber, or some bullcrap like that.
Todd Sweeney, the other
Todd Sweeney. and the worst part is to me is that you have to listen to the insufferable Gary Danielson for an entire 3 hours. I'm not even kidding.
It was muted. I had that thing muted for sure.
I muted it, and then I was watching in the background. I was watching Psalm 3, the about making wine and all this wine tasting stuff, and it was horrible. And then it was that documentary was so bad that I turned back on Gary, and then I have to listen to the bravery and courage and just epitome of class that Jalen Hurts is, and he's just so wonderful, and he's so incredible. Man, let me tell you what, Jalen, we all know you. We see what you're doing. We see it, Jalen. He's gone. He's transferring. This is his sayonara, recruit me again, off for next year. That dude's not sticking around.
Nope.
This is his kind of goodbye tour. So, yeah, I'm good for him.
The best part of that game yesterday was the tweet that showed up this morning of after Hurts scored a touchdown. There's just was it like Alabama's running back is just dancing like 20 yards back downfield?
Yeah.
By himself, just celebrating by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hurts is going to step out of this game and go, all right, he's going to step out of this season and go, okay, I'm a 2-time national champion. Who wants me for one more year,
Yep.
So with all that in mind, all right, if you look at it and if we put our tinfoil hats back on, like last time we did when it was just the three of us, I just realized that we never do these conspiracy episodes when Chandler's available.
Do I hear a conspiracy there, Joseph?
So, here's what I'm wondering. I mean, what were the ratings of the national championship game last year? I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to see what the ratings were because I feel like they probably were pretty good. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they're pretty
good. There, there's a lot of narrative going into it. The whole Smart versus Saban thing, and like will Tua come in and replace Jalen Hurts if he plays poorly? And
yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of drama around it.
I found it. National championship game viewership up 9%. Delivers huge ratings for ESPN networks.
Okay, all right. So ratings go up for that. All right. And people are still talking about Tua came in. The legend of Tua begins that game, right? And so it's a great storyline of like he came in and led them to the comeback, all of that. So why wouldn't they consider, if they were writing a storyline, why wouldn't they consider the second part of the story being the redemption story of the quarterback that did not win the national championship last year, but gets them in there? You know what I mean?
Yep.
For example, and here's the thing about it all. CBS announced on Sunday that the game drew a 10.52 rating, an increase of 25% over last year's SEC title game.
Dang.
So ratings were huge for CBS in this. It was the best rating for any non-bowl game since LSU and Alabama played a number 1 versus number 2 matchup in November 2011. Highest rated college football game in 7 years.
Wow.
All right. And of course, it plays out the way that it does, dramatically with a redemption story for Jalen, but also with very, very weird Georgia coaching in the fourth quarter. Going for it on fourth down, but even like the entire fourth quarter made no sense from a coaching perspective of abandoning everything that worked and just being sloppy with it. So the conspiracy comes in my mind, my conspiracy hat comes on, and I'm like, I wonder if this was a particular storyline because would it have been a bigger thing for Georgia to win, so they try to get 2 SEC teams in the playoff again? Or would it have been a bigger thing for Georgia to almost win, but Alabama still win it in this rematch of the national championship game and go from there? What do you guys think? What's the conspiracy surrounding this game? If you had to write your own conspiracy theory about it, whether it's Saban paying off Smart to go for it on 4th and 11, or whatever it may be. What conspiracy do you think makes the most sense to how this game goes? Keith, you wanna start off? This is a little. It's a quasi game. It's a game, but let's be honest, it's not a game. This is real. This is real life.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if there was something going on behind the curtain. I'm not sure if the conspiracy to get both of them in makes sense, in that if you have Alabama get into the college football playoff as a non-conference champion for the third time in like 6 years, like fans are already tired of that crap. So like, imagine that happened a third time.
Yeah, which is why I think they had to win this one.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
The SEC, if the powers that control the SEC could not have gotten away with it, the same storyline for the third time in a row.
Plus, if it so happens that Bama loses and still gets in, they're going to get in as a number 4. Georgia's probably going to be, well, Georgia wouldn't jump to number 1. So it sets them up perfectly for another national championship. Assuming Georgia can get past Clemson, which, man, that would have been a really fun game. Too bad we were robbed of that. But yeah, I don't know. I remember I was talking about it yesterday about like Rose saying, I want to see Kirby Smart's bank account right now. And then I was kind of joking about how like $2 million was transferred in like 10 minutes before that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely it is, dude.
But yeah, plus imagine the outrage of another all SEC championship game, national championship game. However, we have progressed past the savage and brutal times of having an all SEC West national championship game. That was 7 years ago.
Just the dumbest thing. Dumbest.
That probably had to have had one of the lowest national championship game ratings ever. I didn't watch it. And then what was it, like 9-0 or 12-0? Like it was all field goals.
LSU couldn't even get past midfield.
Yeah, it just the worst game imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
And they force fed us that garbage.
Yep, that was
so
it was the 2012 BCS championship game.
Yep,
that was after that game.
After the 1v2 game from November.
That was the highest rated game until now. So in the 14 years of the BCS, the Alabama versus LSU rematch had the third lowest rating of all the 14 BCS title games. So there you go.
Nailed it. Yep.
21-0 Alabama. Yep.
Wow.
Pretty bad.
Which makes it even worse, because then, if I remember correctly, it was that November game that was like 9-0. That was just field goals and just terrible and boring and stupid and awful. And they're like, you know what? Let's play that game again. That sounds like it'll do really well.
Look, let's not pretend that ratings don't come into when you literally have an end of the season system where people choose who's involved. Okay, you can't tell me that ratings don't play into that. Well, you can't look at 2012 college football season or the 2011 really college football season and tell me that, you know what? Yeah, Alabama and LSU were absolutely the clear-cut best teams. No. Alabama and LSU had just played the highest-rated college football game in years leading up to that. So, yeah, we're going to give them another chance because if they got us a bunch of ratings that first time around, why wouldn't they give us ratings the second time around, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking at least, but I don't know. Did I cut you off, Keith? I feel like I cut you off.
No, I was
okay,
rambling.
Good. Then shut up, Keith.
Oh, I am.
I am.
I'm going to shut the heck up.
That's fun. That's also the year that Oklahoma started the year preseason ranked number 1 and ended the year 10-3, 6-3 in conference, and of course lost behind or ranked below number 3 rival Oklahoma State. So
2011 was a wild year.
Just so you guys know right now that Pittsburgh was up 23 to like 10 when I started watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And now LA just ran it back and it's 21-23. They're going for it for 2 right now. to tie the game up. This is turning out to be a ridiculous game.
I'm gonna need you to specify between the LA Rams and the LA Chargers.
Oh, that would be the electric ones.
San
Imagine saying that,
Diego.
like 4 years ago, and nothing makes sense.
It doesn't
Or
make
5
any
years
sense.
ago, or whenever the heck. When did the Rams move to LA? It was 3 years ago, right?
Who even cares?
I know. Who even
This is their
cares?
second year in LA, third year. The Rams, this is their like third or fourth year. The Chargers just got there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so stupid. Ro, if you had to come up with a conspiracy, would you pick the same thing Keith was saying, or would you go a little different?
I'd probably go with that. Well, the only thing that I would change is that somehow Russian hackers are involved in some capacity. So whatever plot line you need to insert there.
Putin over there colluding with Kirby Smart and Nick Saban.
Yeah, he has some sort of investment, probably some oil dealings or something. Whatever he does, I don't know.
Putin riding into the stadium on a red elephant,
shirtless,
showering money. Yep.
Yeah. And he's all greased up and sunscreen. Ooh,
Go for it.
go for it. It's a combination to me of conspiracy and just sheer stupidness, because there was no way Alabama was going to lose that game. My brother kept telling me that during the middle of the game. He kept saying, there's no way Alabama's going to lose this game. No way. When they were down by like 2 touchdowns and Georgia seemed to have momentum. And then, of course, all of a sudden, Alabama gets a couple of calls their way. They get a couple of athletic catches and whatnot, and they're right back in it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, Georgia, here's this golden opportunity. Don't screw it up. And then they can't not screw it up.
Yeah, Kirby Smart goes, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Everything that happened was the exact opposite of what a normal football coach would do.
All right.
You're up in the game. The run game has been working very well. So you want to get rid of the clock. So you pass the ball a bunch.
I just didn't. It didn't make any sense to me at all. I think maybe he was trying to kind of catch them off guard a little bit. He thought they were a little bit more gassed than they actually were. But then I think that it wouldn't have mattered anyways, because I kind of feel like Alabama paid off everyone this year, and they are basically the Lannisters of Game of Thrones. I mean, they just a Lannister.
And the tide always repays their debt.
Yeah, they always pay their debts. That's how it goes. The Nick Saban, he always pays their debts. I truly did want to see Nick Saban get emotional, but not in the way that I saw him, because that was the most emotion you'd ever seen him. Like, oh, well, you're not such a lizard person. You're more of like a human.
He still is. He's been practicing for years.
But I wanted to see him like explode in rage. You just watch those veins just start busting in his noggin right on live television. That'd be great. So that's what I have to say about that. So to recap, Russian collusion, combination of conspiracy. Nick Saban's still a lizard person.
By the way,
that's it.
If the NCAA football coaches were families in Westeros, the Sabans would definitely be the Lannisters.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So
yeah, there's no question.
Who would be the Starks?
Mississippi State. They got their one chance, and then their dad's head got cut off, and they've never been able to recover. They got wedding.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, if Dan Mullen would then be the one that organized the red wedding.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Dan Mullen is Walter Frey.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so Florida's the phrase.
Oh man, dude, Florida can't be the phrase. Florida is like the Tullys. They just disappeared because everyone got murdered.
All right, that's cool. That's
fine. I'm going to stick with the phrase because of the whole betrayal thing. Right when things were about to turn around for the Starks in Mississippi State, the phrase came wandering in, and we're like, hey, well, that's a nice athletic director you got there. It'd be a shame if someone were to pay him an ungodly amount of money and hire him away.
Oh man.
Arkansas would definitely be that island people. Whatever.
No. That's Kirby Smart, dude. That's Kirby Smart. Always trying to play with the big boys and always getting squashed. Who are they? Who was the Iron Island family again?
The Iron something. I can't remember.
I can't
That's how
remember his
unimportant they are.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, and clearly the dragon people would be LSU. That's what I would say. It seems to be the only one that can disturb all this.
They're the Targaryens.
Yeah.
But like, does that make sense? The Targaryens like also occasionally completely screw everything up tremendously. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Classic LSU.
okay, because if they do, like, that's LSU. Like,
And all the inbreeding
God.
too.
Ole Miss are the Tyrells. Super rich and think they're way more important than they actually are.
Absolutely. I'm for that. I'm for that. Hanging on to tradition.
Yep. Yep. Trying to be fancy with their chandeliers.
Bunch of hot Todds.
yeah, I remember Todd Terrell in Game of Thrones. That's what you meant, right?
Yes,
and it even fits because like they love the Grove so much. And like, the Grove is basically High Garden.
That's so true.
This is the best like bit ever.
Dude, Missouri clearly are the North people because nobody wants them. Like get out. You guys
Arkansas.
are wildlings. Wildlings, dude.
No, dude. Arkansas.
Yeah, they both are. The Arkansas, the other set of the wildlings. I guess the frozen people, because nobody wants them either.
Tennessee is the Baratheons.
That's
they were
good.
important once, and then
they were important one time, and then that guy died off, and his terrible son became king, which is definitely Alabama. So, I guess I'm gonna say Auburn is gonna be Littlefinger just because. every now and then they just kind of find a way to screw some things up, but most of the time they're like terrible.
And that leads us to Missouri being the faceless men. Always living in the shadows.
Oh, I want that show to come back on right now.
Dude, it's like 4 months away, bro.
I know.
Anyway.
So football.
Back to football or whatever. We had our moment to nerd out for a second. That was fun.
That was good.
Is it really nerding out if it's like the most popular show of like the last decade? You know what I mean?
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Like, even though it is a fantasy setting, it also was incredibly mainstream.
Yeah, and everyone would know what we just
were
talked
also
about.
applying its principles to something that was not fantasy at all.
Okay, that's just like math. I mean, that's the scientific method.
Properly.
Come on, dude. Like society.
Here we go. Transversely, Alabama.
Oh, man. All right. Bama apparently does have, according to the earliest odds makers, the best odds to win the national championship.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
What a coup for them.
I know it's shocking. I know it's incredibly shocking.
They're going to win another champion. Maybe the only silver lining that I can see in this travesty is that this may convince Nick Saban just to like leave.
Yeah, he's like, I've done enough. I'm good to go.
This will be what, 5 national championships since he got there like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Or like 11 years ago?
If they make it.
That's crazy.
If they make it, there's no guarantees, Keith. They might lose.
They're just going to move the SEC headquarters into Nick Saban's garage.
Oh, God. I'm so ready for that guy to go away.
Same. Then maybe somebody else can win.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Odds makers are given, or no, this is off of ESPN FPI, Football Power Index. Then that's what that means. So a made-up system that ESPN created said that Alabama has a 43% chance to win it, Clemson a 37% chance to win it, Oklahoma 10%, Notre Dame 9%.
I would love to watch any of those teams play this Alabama team right now if they're all healthy. If Tua is like done for the forever? Did they announce that? Did his bones snap in half? Or did
his head separated from his body? That's what happened.
Did he lose all of his limbs?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that he was pulled out of the game because of his ankle and not because he was bad throwing the ball.
Right. It was a high ankle sprain is what it was. So
Yeah. 10 for 25. Ugh.
Ooh.
2 interceptions. Not good.
Yeah, not a great day for the preseason Heisman Trophy winner. But the main thing that put him out is that he had high ankle sprain is the official diagnosis.
I learned a lot of interesting facts about Tua watching college game day. Tua, growing up, he was always a really good quarterback. Part of the reason for that was because his father would whip him with a belt if he missed or had interceptions. And like he said that.
I bet his dad was angry on Saturday.
Dude, it was the most awkward interview I've ever watched. Go look it up. It is so uncomfortable because the interview guy, whoever he is like, and then Tua's kind of like, It is a very much moment because.
And then his dad whipped the interviewer.
His dad starts taking off his
the question interview.
Did you just stutter?
That's just. If you want to make a champion, you got to go hard. I mean, look at Press Maravich, father of the year back in the day with Pistol Pete.
Yeah.
He used to drive down the road and make him dribble the ball out the window so that he could handle the ball well.
Yeah, LeVar Ball makes his kids suffer his antics.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah. That's if I could think. Yeah, LeVar definitely pushes his kids. He doesn't coddle them at all.
No.
So anyway, do you think? All right. 43. Let's just say they have a 43% chance. Are they still your pick to win it all? Then
Alabama.
Yeah.
Mo
Bamba.
Yeah.
Well, if Tua can't play against Notre Dame, then that makes that game a little more interesting. But
what's the recovery period on a high ankle sprain?
2 weeks. He'll be playing.
High ankle sprains have a tendency to
I feel like that's 4 to 6
to kind of like linger. Yeah, it's usually 4 weeks.
That's what Nick Saban just said 10 hours ago on the Tua injury. He said it's
they've
it's
been
2 week
baiting
thing.
Tua in his Lazarus pit.
Dude,
Right.
we all know that they give them like shots of steroids. We just all acknowledge this. Like they totally inject the thing they did on Varsity Blues. They do that every football game ever. Like anytime a guy like can barely get off the field, he goes to the locker room and he comes off and he's all like, "Look at me, I'm just like the Terminator again."
Well,
That's what's happening.
The standard injury time, at least in hockey, is whenever somebody has a high ankle sprain, they're always listed as out to 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right here. Is that you really want to treat a high ankle sprain in a cast or a walking boot for a period of about 6 weeks.
Yep.
So, yeah, I give 2 a week and a half before he's full on in practice.
Fully recovered. Yep.
Yeah, not even an issue at all.
They're going to give him like some like black market like genetic splicing pills or something.
And even then, we're talking as if we can trust Nick Saban's word. You know, Nick Saban is the one who said we did an MRI and it was a high ankle sprain. You know, we're trying.
Wait a minute. Wait. Are you saying that you doubt Nick Saban?
Usually.
I'm saying that Nick Saban has always been known to be very patient and honest with the press. About everything.
How dare you? How dare you?
Disrespecting.
You are disrespecting all of the Tide right now. Nick Saban has never, will never, won't ever tell a lie.
I am not taking the Alabama job.
Woo, Nick Saban, we love him. That's my favorite. Like Nick Saban, the lady who's like drunk outside of the airport when he comes off the plane and everybody's screaming, hollering, and she's like, "Whoa, Nick Saban, we love him." It's so awful. So Alabama.
Yeah.
LAC just took the lead, by the way.
The Clippers, go Clippers.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and run through real quick the bowl games because bowls have been announced. And the teams that have qualified for postseason play have taken their bids or whatever it is, and let's run through them and see where everyone is. And here's what we're gonna do: we're gonna do some more in-depth like previews when it becomes close to time for the actual bowl games that relate to the SEC. Right now, we're just gonna go through and give our reactions as to whether we think this is an interesting matchup or not. So give me just kind of your interest level on whether you think, for whatever reason.
Is there like a scale? Do we have a scale?
Let's come up with one. Let's see. Let's say the lowest All right, the lowest mark on the scale is watching the 2012 BCS National Championship game between LSU and Alabama.
All right.
All right.
2000
And
championship.
the highest mark on the scale is, just based off of this episode, the return of Game of Thrones to TV.
Okay. All right.
All
Fair
right.
enough.
That seems to be the thing you are most excited about in life. So I'm going to go with that. If you want to sub that out for fleshing out the coaching metaphor more, and as far as like which family is which SEC team, if that's what you're more excited about, you could sub that in there. But that's the scale. Those are the high point and the low point.
Okay.
All right. As far as they go. Let's see. I got all the games pulled up in just like no order. Let's go. Do you guys want to go like lowest ranked team in the division? Let's do that. Let's do that.
Let's go bottom up.
All right. Let's see. I'm looking. Obviously, neither last place team made it. Funny thing, I cannot for the life of me find Ole Miss's bowl game.
Are they not on there?
Anywhere in here.
That's weird.
That's weird.
But Vanderbilt is bowl eligible at 6-6. So let's look and see who Vanderbilt's playing, and you tell me whether this is interesting. All right, this is the December 2nd. Wait, December 2nd? That's not right. Why is it listed?
My God, George, that's today.
Wow,
That's
dude. They're in the Texas Bowl. I don't know what day that is. I'm going to look that up real quick. But according to this, it's all right, December 27th. And that is Vanderbilt and the Baylor Bears. Vanderbilt and Baylor. Let's see. What is you got Kyle Shermer's final game, all right, at Vanderbilt. You've got
RG3's final game at Baylor.
RG3 won the Heisman Trophy in the 2011 season, where Alabama and LSU. Anyway, all right, it just all comes back to that. Baylor finished 5th in the Big 12. Of course, Baylor's had all kinds of issues in the past few years between assaulting people and all of that nonsense.
They were never there. They were all on vacation.
So what?
I don't know what just happened.
That's whenever you on Family Guy they go and visit Germany and they're asking about 1945 and the Germans all respond, "We were never there. We were all on vacation." And so anytime Baylor, my cousin was a cheerleader there, so my uncle follows them pretty well. And anytime I ask them about like Art Briles, that's what he says. Because nobody was there. We were on vacation.
Seems healthy. I like it.
Anyway,
Baylor on the year, like I mentioned, 5th in the conference. Victories over teams like UT San Antonio and Kansas. Losses to teams like Duke and Kansas State. Oh, no, they beat Kansas State by 3 points. 3-point victory there. They hung up 33 on Oklahoma, gave up 66. They lost to Texas only 23-17. But then like the next week, West Virginia beats them 58-14. The week after that, they beat Oklahoma State 38-31. So interesting here. I don't know what to make of Baylor. They seem like a very up and down team this year. Keith, Vandy and Baylor, where does this hit on your personal interest scale?
Like, what was the least interested one? The 2012
BCS championship game, the replay between LSU and Alabama, the most riveting, third least watched BCS championship game of all time.
My interest level is like watching the Dollar General Bowl between Buffalo and Troy.
So incredibly high?
Yes, the highest it's ever been in the history of everything. I love reading some of these bowls with their like sponsors.
Did you guys ever read the breakdown of the Bahamas Bowl from last year?
No.
So someone
thing.
All right, I'm gonna look it up. We're just gonna start. We're just gonna read some of this.
There's a bowl called the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah, dude, Bad Boy Mowers. They're a big company.
What is that even?
Yeah, no, they're not sold here in Mississippi. I said that to my father-in-law, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they do tons of business with us. They do tons of business." And I was like, "I've never even heard of them." He's like, "Oh yeah, no, they're huge."
Definitely sounds like your father-in-law.
Oh, that's exactly how he talks.
Anyway, Roe, how much does this bowl interest you, Baylor and Vanderbilt?
I would say about as much as the storyline of Sansa Stark for the most part.
So a whole lot.
A
Yeah.
whole little.
Is this pre-Bravos or post-Bravos?
Pre-Bravos, so like
Wow, so very low.
very low, very low. Not a full-on BCS 2012. Like I'll like if there's nothing else, like I'll watch it, but like I'm not gonna be that interested in it. It's my time to go like refill my drink. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Thank you.
So you're actually saying that you would have rather watched Sansa Stark storyline than the 2012 BCS? Like,
Absolutely.
that's a pretty close one to me.
Absolutely. I watched the 2012 BCS game. It was bad.
At all.
It was bad. It's not good. They had that was the year of the honey badger, I think, maybe.
The year of the honey badger.
Yeah,
I think so. Or had he been kicked off the team at that point?
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right, flip it over to the West real quick. We're gonna do one West game, and then I'm gonna tell you about the Bahamas Bowl. That's Auburn Tigers. They're the first ones up, and they have the esteemed pleasure of pulling Purdue in the Music City Bowl on December 28th. Auburn has to win this game in order to do what they always do after their good seasons and go 8-5.
That's the real intrigue there.
Yeah, exactly. Purdue was a very, very interesting team this year, occasionally looking like, oh man, Purdue could do some stuff this year. And then a lot of the times looking like, oh my God, why is Purdue trying to do some stuff this year? So just a weird team in general. I mean, you've got them spanking Ohio State.
Just like in front of everybody at Walmart too.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got them getting spanked by national powerhouse Minnesota.
In the Walmart parking lot, in front of everybody.
In front of everybody. So, yeah, weird one here. Auburn and Purdue. Keith, how much does this interest you?
This is actually pretty intriguing for two reasons, and you've mentioned both of them. One is to see if Auburn can get to their coveted year after a good season 8-5 record, and two, to see which Purdue really shows up. Is this the Purdue that beat the brakes off of Ohio State and ruined their college football playoff chances, or is this going to be the Purdue that stumbled headfirst into a wood chipper?
Yikes.
Like in Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
I hated that movie. Anyway, Roe, are you interested in this game at all?
This is kind of like in Game of Thrones where Daenerys Targaryen rules over Meereen, that whole storyline. Like, I know it's a part of something, like an overarching narrative, but we can really do without a lot of it because it's just a bunch of drama that nobody cares about. Like, just go ahead, bring your army over to Westeros. Let's get this battle going. You stay too long in Meereen. Enough of it. That's about how much interested I'm in.
What a perfect comparison because like Daenerys Targaryen and Meereen, Purdue is a very important college football team because of what they've done, but it just drags on and on and on.
It just drags on forever. For a season and a half, she's just chilling, and she's always dealing with like these people coming in and out, trying to take over.
The Harpies, like the Sons of the Harpies.
Yes, they're trying to kill her and all this nonsense. It's like she's got dragons. Like, it's just enough. Like, y'all chill.
Just burn the whole thing down. Much like Purdue, just burn the whole thing down.
Just burn the whole thing down. And I kind of feel like that's the same way with Auburn. Like, they're so much better than what they should be, or rather, they're so much better than what they were supposed to be, I guess. And they suck in real life. Just like Daenerys. So I'm just kidding. I like Daenerys Targaryen a lot.
You're gonna upset the entire female population of Twitter.
Oh no! Take it back. Take it back. I don't need that voodoo on me.
All right, let's take a quick break from this. I don't want to dilly dally too long because this episode I feel like is
it's going.
Is on the cusp of being incredibly dragging along. But here's a quick Reddit post from 11 months ago, all right, of a guy that went to the Bahamas Bowl. And he says, I'm currently at the Bahamas Bowl, and I'm here to tell you why it's the greatest thing to ever happen to college football. All right, here's how it starts. So we took a ship down to the Bahamas to see Ohio play UAB, and it's been nothing short of amazing and honestly questionable. Here's a short list of things we've done here at the game so far. Number one, brought beer directly into the stadium. The locals at the gate didn't even ask to check our tickets. One of them took a sip of my beer.
That's awesome.
Number two, we walked all the way around the stadium until we reached a fenced-off area. A Royal Bahamas defense guard said we could check behind the fence because he doesn't know what's back there. Upon walking past the fence, we ended up in the Ohio locker room. No questions asked. People are constantly walking onto the athletic track that surrounds the field and chugging beer. The security forces down there just keep laughing and high-fiving everyone. One of the soldiers keeps hugging random fans. There's a native family in front of me literally braiding each other's hair. They told me they have no clue about how football works. They just wanted to show up and have a good time. A drunk fan walked onto the sideline and high-fived a player. He then high-fived a Royal Bahamian Defense Force soldier when walking back. The soldier couldn't stop laughing. There are 20 entrances to the stadium, and only 10 of them are guarded. They have one working. This is my favorite part of it all. They have one working scoreboard, and instead of showing the clock, it's showing the ESPN feed, so you can barely see the score and clock in the bottom right corner.
What?
Whoever's in charge of music can't decide on the volume. He tried playing Believer and adjusted the volume up and down around 4 times and then gave up, and there hasn't been music since.
Oh my God. This sounds incredible. This sounds like kind of a movie.
I would absolutely love it. For these reasons, I urge the playoff committee to consider hosting the national championship at the Bahamas. In the Bahamas. It would be a terrible idea, but everyone would have a great time. I know the locals are. So there you go. There's that.
That's awesome.
Yep. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. Moving along on this. After Auburn, we've got the Missouri Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Missouri gets Oklahoma State. An up and down a Big 12 team that will not have Mason Rudolph. That, of course, who doesn't play there. So this is OSU rebounding from some of their better years and still making a bowl game out of it. What do you think, Keith, Missouri and Oklahoma State?
Man, just get in the zone, auto zone.
What?
No, I'm with it. I get it, man.
Yeah, this 2 teams that had the potential to score a bunch of points and 2 teams that had no defense whatsoever. So this will be a really fun game, I think. And so my interest level is, I would say, marginal.
Solid. Roe, how about you?
I agree with Keith. This would pique my interest just to watch people score lots and lots of points. So my interest level would be probably Aya's teacher, whatever that guy's name was, not the faceless man, but the guy before him, that guy who trains her how to use that stupid little needle sword. Whenever he takes on all those dudes, that was marginally interesting.
Oh yeah, the first sword of Bravos.
Yeah,
and he beat
the guy that could water dance or whatever.
Yeah, he beat a bunch of them and then he died. But it was still
with a wooden
interesting.
stick. Yep.
Yeah,
pretty solid. All right. The next one up is, it's the Outback Bowl with the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Rose Mississippi State Bulldogs there, and the Iowa Hawkeyes. This is interesting, mostly because Mississippi State, of course, was the highest ranked 4-loss team, I think. They might have been jumped by somebody, but I know at one point they were the highest ranked because all of their losses came to top 25 or most of them even top 15 programs. Iowa, on the other hand, is unranked. Iowa finished second in the Big 12 West, but they have the same conference record as Purdue and Wisconsin. So the fact that they had, I guess, a higher overall ranking or overall record in 8-4 is kind of what helped them here. But Iowa, I got to be honest, I don't know much about the Iowa football program this year. So I don't know what to tell you about them. But what are you interested in this at all, Keith? What's your interest level?
Also, I didn't know that Missouri was ranked, so good for them. This game is going to be of mild interest to me, mostly because of my very loose ties to Mississippi State. I've got friends that like them. They are fun to watch on occasion. And
your team stole their coach?
Yep. We have a personal vendetta against them.
Mm-hmm.
and poaching all their coaches. And
Mhm.
then, of course, Iowa is one of those fun teams because they are horrible to watch and terribly boring. So it'll be interesting to see. Iowa's got a pretty good defense, and Mississippi State's got a really good rush attack. So it'll be kind of strength on strength, I think. So that'll be fun to watch. And that's it.
Roe, you being a Mississippi State alum, what's your interest level here?
To be quite honest, I know I'm supposed to be more interested than I actually am. I'm about it. I think that State will probably, easily win that game. I don't think it's going to be a very tough game whatsoever. I don't even know. They're too closely similar to Southern Mississippi's apparel that that's all I see when I look at them.
Yeah,
so I can't give them any respect whatsoever on that principle alone. So to me, I kind of feel like it's going to be the Mountain versus anybody. That's my interest level. Like, it's interesting, but it's very predictable. Like, that guy's going to win every single time, except for that one time. But then he apparently is resurrected, and so now he's an undead person.
Yeah, giant zombie mountain.
The giant zombie mountain. So he still wins all, much like my fandom and loyalty for Mississippi State. So that
constantly
is
resurrected.
Constantly resurrected over and over again from the ashes of this.
What is dead may never die.
Yeah, what is dead may never die. So yeah, there we go. That's what I gotta say about
this
that.
This is our Game of Thrones episode. It's wonderful.
South Carolina plays Virginia in the Belk Bowl. The Belk Bowl, of course, being the best social media presence in all of college football. Don't at me about it. Belk Bowl is the best Twitter account there is. South Carolina plays Virginia. Virginia is not good. So, are you interested, Keith?
No, like not even a little bit. This is the entire Arya and Bravo storyline played out in front of us in a single football game. It's ugly. It's stupid. It's really dark and damp, and somebody might go blind for half of it.
Oh, that was perfect. I like that one a lot.
Solid stuff. Ro, how about you?
I mean, I kind of agree with what Keith said. I think the only other boring storyline, though, has more to do with any of that, the shame people, whatever they were, the priest, whoever that guy was.
The High Sparrow.
Yeah, the High Sparrow. Like, I am not for them whatsoever. I hated all that stuff. It felt so stupid to me. Like, why are you giving these people attention? That's how I feel about this. So there we go.
Solid stuff. Where are we at now? Who's next? Oh, LSU. How about the LSU Bayou Bengals going up against? This is a very interesting one here, of course, because they get Central Florida. Central Florida, who does not have Mackenzie Milton, but they do have the longest winning streak in the country. Keith, what's your interest level in LSU versus UCF?
Well, LSU's average points per game just doubled after the Texas A&M game.
Right.
So this game to me is going to be essentially the battle of the bastards, in that you know what's coming, you know it's going to be especially gruesome, and likely just when it looks like LSU has finally met their end, the Knights of the Vale, a.k.a. the greatest running quarterback of all time, Joe Burrow, saved the day at the last minute.
Bro, how about you?
Oh, man, dude. This one, my level of interest is for sure Tywin Lannister's death, right? Where you know for certain that guy, he thinks he's all that. He thinks that he's smart. He thinks that he's incredibly intelligent, yada, yada, yada. But then you get his youngest son, Tyrion, who we all know is straight up the reason why we all watch that show. And he comes in and stabs him and shows him who's actually boss. And that is very much Tyrion. So yeah, that I feel like that's what's going to happen with UCF. They're all look at us, we're undefeated, blue, 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 blue. And then LSU's there to stab them in their sleep. Pretty much. That's how I see that one. So I'm interested.
I just want to point out that Tyrion actually shoots his dad with a crossbow while he's
That's
on
right.
the toilet.
That's right.
So that's a perfect
That's right, dude.
representation of what this game's probably going to be.
All right, next up we've got Keith, we've got Florida and Michigan. So we had our first of the New Year's Six bowls there in the Fiesta Bowl between LSU and Central Florida. Now we've got the next of the New Year's Six in Michigan and Florida in the Peach Bowl. I think that apparently that's still considered a New Year's Six.
Yeah, it's weird that when the New Year's Six games were announced, that the Peach Bowl is one of them, except it's being played 2 days before the New Year.
Yeah, well, Peach
New
Bowl,
Year's.
Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl are all on this December 29th.
Interesting.
And then Fiesta, Rose Bowl, and Sugar Bowl are all on January 1st.
Well,
So I don't know. And then of course you've got the Outback Bowl, which is on January 1st and is not a New Year's Six Bowl.
New Year's Six,
Yeah. Anyway, Michigan and Florida. I know you were thinking Michigan. You were scared of this when the rumors were stirring, but how interested are you in this game now?
I'm super interested. It's for the sake of what Florida's done this year, it's an amazing turnaround going from 4-7 to 9-3 with the potential to get a double-digit win column for this year. My interest is essentially going to be when Cersei Lannister blew up the Sept of Baelor. I'm here for it. It's going to be amazingly fun, but it's also going to kill thousands of people.
Roe?
Man. Yeah,
Mostly Florida fans.
I'm super interested in this one. I think this is going to be a great matchup. I think this is, in my opinion, this is very similar to Cersei's little brother, Tywin Lannister, when he goes and destroys the entire fleet with wildfire. That was one of the most awesome, epic moments in that entire show.
All right. Let's do one more. No, we're good. We're good here. Texas A&M, the Aggies. They go up against, who is it? I just had it in front of me. NC State in the Gator Bowl on December 31st. This could be an interesting one because NC State is kind of a forgotten, decent team out of the ACC. Not amazing, which is kind of exactly, I think, what Texas A&M is, a decent SEC team and basically nothing else. So I don't know. This could be two very evenly matched teams here. Keith, what's your interest level in this one?
I would say that my interest level is low, but with the potential to be very, very, very high, like the romance between Jon Snow and Ygritte, in which it's like, who cares? This is stupid, and then it gets very, very interesting because of all the drama that happens in it. Just because, again, these are two teams that maybe overperformed a little bit versus their expectations. So good for them for being there. But we all know that this is just going to be a filler game for most people.
Ro?
Yeah. I want to be honest. This one, the only thing that could conjure up my mind that's any worse than anything else is the entire storyline of Jon Snow's friend. What's the fat guy's name, Keith?
Sam? What?
Sam. I cannot stand Sam. I know this is controversial, but I'm ready for Sam to go away, much like this game.
The drama.
Yeah, I can't stand Sam and his terrible girlfriend or wife or whatever she is. She's all, I have a baby, and that's all you hear about from her.
Roe hating on Samwell Tarly.
Yeah,
and his live-in girlfriend.
His live-in girlfriend.
What's her name? Gilly?
Gilly, or yeah, maybe. And she's got the kid. Yeah.
I can't believe that it's taken us this long, but now we have Kentucky to discuss.
Oh my God.
This is unbelievable to me. Kentucky ends up with, I know this was actually a matchup that a lot of people really wanted Mississippi State to draw because they thought it'd be fascinating to see first year for Joe Moorhead and see him instantly go up against Penn State. But Kentucky ends up going up against Penn State in the Citrus Bowl on January 1st. It's going to be kind of the storyline of, I guess maybe the final game of Trace McSorley for Penn State. I don't remember. I think he's a junior, actually, so maybe not. But you got Benny Snell and Josh Allen finishing up college careers. I think McSorley actually is a senior. McSorley finishing it up on the other side of things. So your interest level, Keith?
This is very much like the storyline of the White Walkers, in which the first episode of Game of Thrones opens up with the White Walkers and their threat, and you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then you totally forget about them for like 4 seasons. That's this game. Like the matchup is kind of cool, and it's like, oh, there's like Kentucky is in a bowl game, and that's pretty cool. And Penn State's in a bowl game, and that's pretty cool. And then you realize that it's at the same time as LSU and Mississippi State, and then you get to like 9 o'clock, and it's like, oh, that game happened. Oops.
Ro, how about you?
Man, just on principle alone, that neither one of these schools should ever be allowed to compete in any type of athletics ever. Just on principle, I'm going to compare them to those little tree elf children things that all they did was like stab things and throw little fireballs or something to fight the White Walkers. Like, why is this even a storyline? Why are they allowed to be alive? Like, stop this. That's how I feel about this game. So take that with what you will.
Wow. I had no idea you had such strong opinions about Kentucky and Penn State.
I'm just over them.
All right.
Also, apparently, Ro hates the children of the forest.
I think that's the dumbest storyline. It's so dumb. The children of the tree, whatever they are.
Oh, man.
All right, we got 2 more to look at.
Fireballs or whatever.
The 2 teams that we've talked the most about here. Alabama goes up against Oklahoma in the first round of the quote-unquote playoff. That's not really a playoff. On December 29th in apparently the Orange Bowl. As if it's not complicated enough. But anyway, it's an exciting team with Kyler Murray and going up against Alabama. If you look at the statistics, Tua gets all the love, but Kyler Murray has all the better statistics in every statistical category and every important category when they go head to head. So anyway, this is the dream matchup that I think a lot of people wanted to see between Tua and Kyler. This is just a ratings matchup. Let's be honest. That's why Oklahoma is there. Your interest level, Keith.
The battle of the potential number 1 and number 2 Heisman candidates. And the interest level is high, much like the Viper versus the Mountain in Game of Thrones, in which the seemingly immovable object goes up against a very flashy and brash upstart in Oklahoma. And I'm afraid, though, that the game is going to turn out as Game of Thrones did, in which it's going to look there for a while that Oklahoma is going to do it, and you kind of get out of your chair, and then Oklahoma gets very cocky and demands to know who killed their wife and children, or sister and children, and then Alabama crushes Oklahoma's skull and dies, only to be resurrected to win the national championship.
Ro?
I agree with everything that Keith just said. I think that Oklahoma is going to kind of keep it close. I mean, like, I kind of just want to steal what he just said. Am I allowed to do that? Like,
sure.
All right, that's
no
what I'm doing. I really like what he said. I totally agree with his example. So that's what I ditto.
I love it. Finally, Georgia and Texas. You have the team that some people were trying to make a push to still be in the college football playoff rankings for whatever reason in Georgia. And then you have Texas, who kind of made a push against Oklahoma, but then again, Oklahoma's defense, the 3 of us could have put up 14 points against Oklahoma, I think, at some point in the season. We just could have. So do you think Georgia takes out frustrations against Texas? Do you think Georgia is uninterested because of the way that they were unable to hold it off against Alabama. It doesn't matter. We'll talk about it later. What's your interest level, Keith?
Interest level is going to be very high for this. In my opinion, this is going to be very akin to the time that Daenerys and her horde of Khalasar and the dragon jumped the Lannisters coming back from Highgarden, and it was an absolute slaughter, proving that they are a power. Georgia, of course, being the dragon.
Thank you for clarification. Ro?
I can't help but think of Cisco's Unleash the Dragon with all that dragon talk. That
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
going now. I think Georgia pretty much. I don't know. It's going to be pretty easy. So my interest level in this is definitely anytime the Hound is on the television. So whatever is I'm intrigued by him every time. So that's what I say to that.
There we go. I guess that's all of them. We made it all the way through the entire list. How do you guys feel?
Accomplished.
Cool.
Excited.
What did you say? Published?
I said
Yeah.
accomplished.
No, we got published.
Published.
Good for
Oh
us.
yeah, published.
Good for us. Well, we're gonna do a few other things, but I think we're running out of time. So here's what we're gonna do. We always make a random prediction every week. We're gonna predict the Army-Navy game. Keith, who you got, Army or Navy?
Ooh,
Army-Navy game this year, very important. I'll give you a moment to think as I talk a little bit. This is Army's best stretch of football in over 20 years. They finished the 2017 season 10-3, had an overall record of 18-8 over the past 2 seasons. It has been since the mid-90s that they've had back-to-back years with good success here. They, of course, go up against Navy, and their winningest coach in program history, Ken Nuamatalolo. There we go. The winningest coach in Navy history, 84-48 in his 132 games at the school. But of course, Army has won 2 straight games over Navy the past 2 seasons, and Navy would love to change that. This game is on Saturday, December 8th at 3 p.m. Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. Keith, Army or Navy?
the Army's been sinking them battleships the last couple of years.
It's true.
What happened again? No says I. Navy.
Wow. All right. Roe, Army or Navy?
I have actually been to West Point, New York. I have a dear friend that lives there, and I visited there many times, so I'm going with Army.
Woo!
Give me Army.
Going with Army. I'm actually going to go Army as well. I think they go with the unprecedented 3 straight victories over Navy this year. Just so everyone knows, in our head-to-head challenges, we all got 2 correct picks from last week between the South Carolina, Akron, Georgia, Bama, and UAB MTSU Conference USA Championship game. So because of that, the margins between us are all identical. Keith still is in the lead now with 110 total correct picks on the season. I'm in second place somehow. All right. With 107 picks. I don't know how that happened. And Roe and Chandler are tied with 105. So we're going to make some bold predictions. Here's what's coming up on ROTC for the rest of the season. We're going to do some in-depth team season reviews episodes, similar to how we did our preseason preview episodes. We're going to be doing some basketball talk because it's basketball season now. We're going to be doing some in-depth bowl previews for each of the bowls whenever they're coming up concerning the SEC teams. And of course, we're going to be covering the Alliance of American Football, the AAF, which we're all very excited about. Right, guys?
Which is the real reason why we're doing this podcast. Like the last 20 or so weeks have just been a warm-up. That's like our preseason, guys.
This is it. So stay tuned to Running Out the Clock for everything we got up ahead of us. Gentlemen, that's the end of the episode.